Welcome to another episode of I'm Trying to Do the podcast, where we like to go deep but keep it light with my boy Daniel Victor and myself, Marcel Flores. This week, Dan just came back from Ireland, so we got a couple fun stories from out there. I myself have been struggling with an injury and overall mentally with not trying to feel like I reached my goals in time. So we're going to unpack that together a little bit on today's episode. Hope you guys enjoy. So this is weird. This is like a long distance call, but we're also in the same, well, I mean, technically we're in a different state, right?
Well, yeah, but no, it is weird. Because I just got back from Ireland. I was in Ireland for the past couple of days, and I just got back last night, and I have some stuff going on today. So you so graciously were like, "Hey, man, let's just do it via phone call," and now we're here.
In the morning.
Yeah,
apart.
I haven't even had coffee
trips.
yet.
This man travels too much. You haven't had coffee yet.
I haven't even had coffee.
Third.
Oh, really, dude? I envy you. I mean, I will say I did get a workout in. I got a workout in.
Okay, nice.
Did not have coffee though, so I had some pre-workout, but no proper coffee.
Okay, I literally had to cancel my workout, so I've had coffee but no workout because my knees are hurting real bad. And so super fun.
Dude, you went on a 20-mile run.
I did.
How was
Longest run
it?
of my life. Amazing. Just like, especially because I'm starting to like potty train myself now. Where normally when I run, I have to like go pee at least 4 times.
Yeah.
Depending on what I eat the night before. I have a very, active digestive system. So like I also had to run into a hostel once before. And that's not, like what you want out of one of those like long runs. You want to just kind of like stick with it and keep the energy up. So I potty trained. And I didn't stop. I literally did not stop for 2 hours and 28 minutes. I was just running, like not at a red light, not for peeing, not for nothing. And man, fuck, it's
nuts, right?
different. Like, I mean, it was also faster than I ever ran. So like, it was longer and faster on like the combination of things. And now my knee's a little iffy. Like I thought like, oh yeah, 2 days, like 1 day rest day and then active rest day, and then 2 days later I can go back to speed work. Like, it's not. 20 miles is 20 miles of running. It's really, really tough. So I had to cancel tennis for today, which is really, really quite sad because I was really looking forward to it. But it's okay. It's okay. I literally tried to tape it up. Like now, I was icing it. I'm doing red light therapy. I'm doing the whole shebang.
Oh dang.
I'm not. Yeah. I want to get this like fixed quick so I can like have more fun again. Is that Kaya in the background throwing around her toys?
Yeah, that's Kaya. Yeah, if you hear any like sound of hard thing on hardwood floor, it's literally her chewing on like a cheese stick and just like throwing it around. She's so smart. She does this thing where she'll chew it a little bit and then she gets kind of lazy where she's like, I don't want to chew this anymore, and then she'll like kind of toss it to herself, but instead of tossing it to herself, she'll like just toss it up and have it land hard on the ground so that it chips off into pieces, and then she'll just eat the little pieces that fall off. Yeah,
she's smarter than you. That's crazy.
She's infinitely smarter than me. I don't like it's wild.
Dude, how was Ireland? We haven't talked about that at all yet.
Dude, Ireland was dope. Buddy's bachelor party. It was a side of Ireland.
That's what it was. I know you told me so many times, and I was like, you can't ask again. But like, I forgot why you were out there. But nice, yeah, sick.
Yeah. It was a buddy's bachelor party. It was great, man. I think what was funny was, and I think we've talked about this a lot, is he was telling his fiance, "Oh, we're gonna go to Galway." And like a little town outside of Galway. So I think we ended up staying in a spot near Headford, which very, very small. I think the total population
which means nothing to anybody, including myself.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So very small population. Because the last time I was in Ireland, I was in Dublin, which is like way more kind of like metropolitan, still like very cutesy, but like there's a little bit more going on. Galway was a little bit sleepier.
This is your second time in Ireland?
Second time in Ireland, yeah.
Jesus. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You like it there, huh?
Can't stay away, man. So we went to Galway, or like staying around Galway, and he was telling his fiance, okay, we're going to go to Galway. We're staying in a castle, which was like crazy. But she was like, I don't know why you'd go to Galway. Like, it's just like, doesn't seem like there's a whole lot going on there. Like, why wouldn't you do something like Vegas? And all of my friends were like, oh, like like the thought of going and being in like a doof, 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 like,
right.
And we were like, I'm having such a good time. And you're like, what? like that just seemed so like, I don't want to do that. And I think we're all kind of on the same page where we would much rather have like a kind of a chill, we set the vibe for the activities kind of time. But it was so great reconnecting with friends who I don't think I'd seen some of them in probably like a year and a half, 2 years, like since the one of them got married. And it was a blast, man. It was awesome. We stayed in this like gorgeous property. It was this crazy castle with like, there's like an outdoor area and like a spire we can climb up to get to like this tower. It was beautiful. The weather actually held out, which was pretty like really nice. We did some shooting, like some clay pigeon shooting, which I think like low key.
Oh hell yeah!
Like I've shot guns before.
Yeah.
And it's cool. I've shot like some handguns. I think I've done like a shotgun once or twice. This was an
So
entirely...
this is you going on record being pro gun?
Yeah, dude, honestly though, like it kind of like awoken something inside me where I was like, oh, this is fun. Like this is...
Yeah,
this
it is.
It's like challenging and like there was like a little bit of competition because we were like, okay, like who's going to hit the most targets? And they're coming from different directions and like, some are coming back to front, some are going front to back, side to side. And it's hard, And but it was like so much fun being out there like shooting this like 12 gauge shotgun or whatever. I don't even know what it was. Like
it's crazy.
So
I've done that
much
once
fun.
before too. Like it's like I'm by no means of the opinion that anybody should own a gun. That's just European. We don't have guns unless you're law enforcement. Shut the fuck up.
Right.
But purely recreationally, like for the and hunters, right?
Yes.
I don't like shooting animals, but little clay discs, dude. Fucking crazy. And turns out like I was fucking nasty at it, which is really weird because I'm not normally good at that. Like I don't have a lot of experience, but like the fucking and the shattering sound is so satisfying.
Dude,
so I get
when
what you're
you
saying.
hit one and it just blows up into like a trillion pieces, you're like,
something primal gets activated.
Yeah.
That's fucking dope.
Yeah.
Did you get strippers and what did the guys look like?
Yeah. So we did get some strippers. They were called my friends and we all stripped down.
Nice. Tight. Really, really dope. No, Ireland is such an interesting choice, but like, I think the later you get married in life and the later you throw like a bachelor party,
Yeah.
the less insanely crazy it gets, right?
Yeah. I will say, dude, there's one time.
Because we're all a bit...
There's one story
never
that
mind, please.
Huh? What'd you say?
Close. You go. No, tell me.
There's one story that I was excited to talk about because, two things. One, I did probably the coolest thing that I had done in a minute, followed by immediately the most uncool. Like it happened after this whole thing. So we walked into this bar that my buddy recommended. I was like, dude, where are we going to go get food? And he's like, oh, I know a spot. I looked it up on Google. It's, fine, whatever it's called, like T. McHugh's or something, whatever. So we drive there and it's like a hole in the wall. There's no lights on the outside at all. So I was like, is this place even open? Like, what are we looking at here? So, but he's like, oh no, I got it. It's good. We walk in and think it's 5 of us guys all in these like heavy knit wool sweaters, like fisherman style sweaters that we all just bought.
Because you're thinking it's cold.
Yes, no, it is cold.
Right.
So like we just all bought these like, Irish wool sweaters. So we're all wearing these like, we're like, oh, we're gonna fit right in. We walk into this bar and it was the most like movie moment I think I've ever had where there's no music playing. It's all just people like chatting with each other. And then the minute we all walked in, all the talking stopped and everyone just slowly turned and was like, and we're like, oh man, this is not good.
That's amazing.
And they just like looked at us like bewildered. They're like, what? And my buddy's like,
Where the fuck
we're
did
looking
y'all come
for food. And they're like, food? No, we don't have any food here. You got to go up the street. Like all that, It's like, oh, great. So we just like make complete fools of ourselves.
Nice.
But after that, we were getting ready to drive back, and we were like, well, let's just kill a beer before we go back to the castle. And my buddy's like, oh, dude, I have this beer. I can't open it. Like, does anybody have a beer opener? And I'm like, I got it. So I grab it, put it against this, like a pole on the outside. You do that trick where you put the lip on like a thing and you like hit your hand, and then
I'm German. Like
yeah.
I've known that trick since I've been 3. Like yeah.
Yeah. For me, I'm like, this is the cool. Check this out. So I did it, and it opens, and as I'm and it's all good. As I'm handing it to him, it explodes in the car. Like it's fine. And then I go to hand it to him. And the minute he's like, oh, dude, that was so cool. It just explodes all over the seats. And I was like, oh, man. And I like cut my finger. I don't know if you can see, there's like a little cut on my finger.
Oh, I can't.
But it's like pouring blood. And I was like, that was like the coolest thing I've ever done. Because it was so like such a swift motion that I completed the task with. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then I just start gushing blood and the whole beer exploded. So
Fun.
Yeah.
It's you in a nutshell. Like when you first get to know you, it's like, whoa, look at him. And then you're like, he is an idiot. And like, it's the best combination of the two worlds. It really is. It's like, who is this mysterious gentleman? Like he carries himself so well. And then it's like, oh, it's Dan. Got it.
Yeah. Oh, right.
It's
Okay.
Dan.
Dude, you know, so question for you, because they asked me this question too, and I'm curious what your answer is going to be. How often do you use Wikipedia?
Oh my God, 0 times.
Oh, thank you, dude. Because they were like
0 times.
They were like,
They're
how often?
using Wiki. Where do they live? What are these friends? You keep your friends so separate that I
do.
have literally ask me like this is something Dan and I like almost got in a fight about, which was cute. But then we made up, and then we made out.
We made out.
This incessant need to separate your friend circle. So literally, like prompt me to name 2 of your friends. I can say Nick, who introduced us.
Yep.
And I can say Kevin, who I met. Where the fuck did I meet him? Why am I blanking on this right now?
At the grilled cheese music.
Oh,
video.
on your video shoot. On
Yeah.
your video shoot. So where you hired me professionally to like do something for you. That's where I met another friend of yours. Another name, like anybody who was on that trip, 0. No idea. I don't fucking know. Do you hang out with other people? I don't know. Are they young? Are they old? Are they handsome? Are they cold? Are they cold? Necrophilia. Who were you out there with?
No, yeah. I don't. Is that like a weird thing? As I feel like I do. I like segregate my friends. I keep like all the groups separate, and I don't like intermingling them.
I think that's racist in a way. I don't know how, but like I think so.
But here's my thing, and I don't know. You might agree with this because I feel like the people pleaser in you may understand why, because I don't know if my friends will get along with my other friends, and I don't want there to like. In my mind, I feel like the awkward tension of people trying to figure out if they like each other is like a little too much for me, and I feel like I would rather be fully immersed in one group and know the humor of the group, know the lore, know like, you know, what jokes play and, you know, what stuff, than have to like kind of cater to both sides. Does that make sense?
For sure. Like I understand on a logical level. But dude, when do you ever take that stance on anything in life where you choose between comfort zone and growth? You never do this. It's a uniquely like you there's for some reason, and I guess maybe you know, like we know by now, like everybody that listens to this podcast anyway regularly, that you were very insecure as a teenager, and like where there's that, you know, friend building phase and like finding yourself and you know, having to fit in with this group and then having to fit in with this group, and like I can relate to that 1,000%, right? Whereas like I can't be myself around everybody, so why would I put them together? Because I can't even be both people at the same time for the people that I'm there with, right? So I get that, but at the same time you do hear it, right? You're like, you were literally out of fear for it being awkward, robbing yourself of the opportunity of like what would happen when you bring this group and this group together. It's this like beautiful recipe that could come out even fucking doper, right?
Yeah.
And in my experience, it has. And I think that's like, I feel like the cooking analogy here is maybe not a terrible one. Like if you take a bolognese, right? Like you have your pasta, you have your meat, you have your tomato sauce, and then that's your one group of friends.
Right.
And then you have like, I don't know, a lasagna group of friends. Like that shit meshes. Like it's essentially the same thing. It's a little bit different, but like, you know what I mean? I get that. Now compare that to like a bolognese and a, I don't know, vegan ramen or something. That might not mesh as well. And I get that. But the thing is, unlike food, which we eat all of, normally, like you connect with people because you already have shit in common, right? So like with us, it would probably be the creative stuff and content creation first, right?
Right.
But it's also our humor. And like that's, for example, like why I clicked so much with Kevin. I think that humor was something where it just worked. And just to have that trust that like what connects you to those people is also what will connect them to some extent, and just trust that adults can, you know, make friendships, or if not, at least bear the awkwardness of having to figure out what to talk about. Like all of them are grown men that can
Yeah.
like have a
That is true.
conversation, and they're nobody's gonna go fucking Dan. Who the fuck is he hanging out with? What a fucking loser! I should probably stop hanging out with him if he hangs out with those. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I
I know it's stupid. I know it's like purely stupid, and it makes my like life harder because now instead of just being able to hang out with everybody, I have to like find different time to hang with different groups of people. You know, so I see everybody like less often.
sure, but which I think that an argument there is like one-on-one time is needed anyway. But I think every now and then, like especially on something like a bachelor trip, like we talked about this. You're married now officially, but like you're still gonna maybe do a bachelor trip because your actual wedding, like not civil wedding, is
Yeah.
like still happening.
Yeah.
And you don't know, like you know what this man told me? He's like, I want to do individual bachelor parties, like as in like one with you two, one with you two, one with you two, which I get from a like egotistical standpoint, just like the more party, the more focus, the more me, and like yay.
Of course.
But not traditionally how that happens, right?
Right. Yeah. No, you're right, and it's more expensive.
Right.
But no, you're right. And I
so-
don't know why. Like I don't know why I do that. I don't know where that even came from. I think honestly, it might have come from high school. As I feel like I was friends with like, and I think we've talked about this already on the podcast before. But I was very good at hopping between groups of people and then fitting into whatever that group like not needed, but whatever their like thing was. Like I was friends with all the football players solely for the fact that like we played football. Sure. And like I had that kind of humor and what's the word? Like I would just, I'd act the same way they would act,
Yeah.
but I also had friends that that played soccer and were, really more diving into doing well in school, and I was friends with those guys.
Right.
I also was friends with like the kids who didn't really give a shit about school and just wanted to smoke cigarettes and smoke weed and
break the law.
Yeah, and break the
If
law.
you don't know what that's about, tune into last week's episode. No, of course, I get that. Like, and literally, you're like, we've talked about this on the podcast before. I literally said it 5 minutes ago. Like,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
No, and I was the same way. And I think there's something to be said about this because through therapy, I found a way more to myself, like, right? And over the last 2-3 years specifically, I feel like I'm answering these questions for myself where I'm like, okay, who am I? What do I value? Not for the sake of fitting in. But there's something that remains that I don't necessarily think is like trauma or even something negative. But this, you and I are very outgoing people. We are around people a lot. Mm-hmm. And we are very empathetic. And I think that the conglomerate of that leads to us just assimilating more to who we're around. And I don't necessarily think that that's not a part of me. You know what I mean? Like that's not me. There definitely was like an extreme version of that where I overdid it.
Right.
But overall, I think I like I don't know if this is cocky or not, but I feel like I'm a very complex person. I can get along with a lot of different people, primarily because I genuinely tend to see the positive things or like the things that I can connect with people over, right? And they're manifold. Like sometimes it'll be something small or superficial, sometimes more profound, and thus a deeper friendship or not so.
Right.
But I think it's okay that you adjust a little bit and you flow a little bit with your surroundings. Like we adapt to our environment a little bit. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but let it. All I'm saying is let it happen. I'd love literally like you're like, oh, I'm hanging out with my friends. I'm like, who? What? Where do you know?
No,
them
dude, they're
from?
real. They're real. They just go to another
They're
school
real.
and you wouldn't
My real
know
friend-
them.
They're from Canada.
They're real.
Super fun. They're real.
If any of my friends are listening to this too, I would say I guess I'm sorry that I never introduced you to anybody else because you guys are all
That's okay. I'm putting it on you to this summer. Put a group outing together, and everybody help me hold them to this. To put a group outing together, like I don't know. I'll have like a beach day for groups of friends because then that's always really, really fun.
Hell yeah.
And easy enough to like if you're like I don't really fuck with any of those people, you can like run away into the ocean and hope a shark eats you. It's great.
Yeah. Best way to run from the problems, dude.
All right.
Dude, how was your
weekend?
What'd you get up to?
Yeah, something I've wanted to talk to you about a little bit. Like I've been struggling a little bit. Overall, I think this like goal, like I think it's about goal setting for me and this feeling of like reaching my goals. We've talked about this a little bit, but I forget where I had this thought, but I wrote this down. Which was like, think the wildest things, like really dare to dream big, started clicking for me over the weekend. Because only if you start seeing yourself up there, can you start breaking it down into actionable steps that will actually get you there. Like if you don't believe that you can, or if you don't even see yourself up there, literally how can you see a path? Like some people stumble upon that path. It happens. Some people get not famous overnight, but some people like don't really try to aim for a certain thing and then it happens to them anyway. Like I think there is certain paths that people just stumble upon.
Right.
But it's much, much easier if you see the destination and you can see yourself there, and then you start getting glimpses of what you need to do to try and get there. Now, I feel like I see where I want to go. Like I would love for this podcast to be a bigger thing. I'd love to be, actually more of an athlete, like doing sports in a way that is more than just a hobby, literally turning my hobbies immediately into more again. But just because I enjoy doing them so much, and like that's not all I want to be doing, but such a large part now. But man, like all of this stuff is so. I've been anxious the last few days, and I don't really know why. I feel like I'm still looking for some of that like external validation that I say I don't need anymore, and I don't by any means like as much as I used to. But every now and then it's nice to get like, this reminder like, hey, you're doing good, you're on the right path, like from the outside, because to constantly have to remind yourself is not easy. It's just like some days are harder than others.
Right.
Some days are better, and the last few, especially like now I'm struggling with a little bit of an injury, like to not let something like that get to your head, it's also tough, I think.
Is this centered like around your running? Like, is this like is that the main thing, or is it just like overall like your
No,
like
it's also
business
still
priority
like
goal setting?
it's also that like the engagement again on Instagram, like all the little fears that you have on a daily. Like I haven't been booking a whole lot of jobs, and then seeing now it's becoming a little bit more normal that I get hundreds of likes on a piece of content rather than thousands, and that's like I'm trying so hard not to let it bother me, but at the end of the day it's very just like black on white proof that like it's not going as well as it once was, and to be able to like reshift that into no, this is a transitional phase, and I'm moving towards a different thing. Like it's I know it up here, but sometimes like down here has a hard time catching up, and then in moments like that it is really nice to get this like external push of like, okay, I don't know, you booked a job or and I'm seeing them and I'm getting them, like which is awesome in the smallest of ways, but especially financially it's nice to like get a little note from the universe that like you're pushing for the right reason and in the right direction.
Of course.
And it's just been a lot. I think it's also I think I'm just physically exhausted because last week was the last week of like the strong training period where I'm really going all out, where
Right.
I ran like close to 40 miles last week, out of which 20 was a one run, right, which was wild. So maybe I'm just depleted, because normally I notice that when I'm more rested, it's much easier to handle the mental as well. Yeah, it's just been a little tough.
Well, let me ask you something. And this is something that actually I implement sometimes with Emiliana is, do you want like support, or do you want like a solution, or do you just want to kind of like get that off your chest? Like what's your goal with sharing that? Do you want what do you just want to like bring that to light, and like what's your goal?
Yeah. I love that too. Like the question, like what do you need right now to be heard, to be helped, to be supported? I don't think I think I know by now that this is just a part of like the up and down. I think the point of bringing it up is mostly to like show everybody that's watching and listening that this happens like to us. I think because oftentimes we are such happy-go-lucky people and like put that out there a lot, but to share these moments of like, I want to call them weakness without it being actual weakness. Like it's just moments of self-doubt, and a challenging period. But also to talk about this, I think the process of the law of attraction, right? Like of trying to like manifesting a certain life is often put super simply, and a lot of people misunderstand it by just being like, oh cool, like I want this and then it's going to happen. Like it's obviously not that. I've been reading a book, wow, fantastic, blanking on the name, but it's a scientific proof on why the law of attraction works, which is a lot less spiritual than like people think. It's a lot about what I said, like setting this goal, seeing it enables you to start taking steps towards that direction. I just think it's really, really hard sometimes to know what you want in life, and then to also just ask for it. And that's something I'm noticing that I've gotten a lot better, because like I know what I want and I want this, so I'm reaching out a lot more proactively. Like I'm taking a lot more charge of my life. But all of this to say, I think it's just not easy on every day, and like on these low days, it's honestly just, it feels good to just talk about it. And maybe I'm just using this very, very selfishly, where I'm like, it's nice to hear myself say it, and like at the same time knowing like this is temporary. Like I know I felt this way 2 weeks ago for a couple of days, and then later in the week I was fucking on top of the world again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To just push through and remind yourself that voice is your fears and your doubts, but can't let that shit get to you, right?
No, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you're saying here that I feel like resonates with like stuff we've talked about on previous episodes. Like
it's an ongoing thing. Like
just like you're setting a goal, and like an outrageous, egregious goal, I feel like speaks a lot to the what was it called? The wow, now I'm blanking on the word.
Fun.
When you're so like delusion. Like dude, like you want your dream to be so audacious and crazy
right.
that it almost scares you. But at the same time, having something that you can put on that pedestal and say, okay, this is what I want to do. How can I break this down into smaller parts? Incredibly helpful. And I think there's tons of books on the law of attraction and how, like you're speaking to the guy who, like, I love manifestation. Like I am so deep in my bag about manifestation. I'm sure you are as well. But there's books like, I think it's Ask and It Is Given, or Asking You Shall Receive, or something by,
okay.
I
feel like that rings a bell.
It's a little more spiritual than scientific, but it does, like, everything you're saying rings true, where you have this audacious goal. You're like, man, that is what I want. Wouldn't it'd be so nice to be at that spot? How do I break this down into manageable pieces, and like you said before in previous episodes, like SMART goals, to make sure that you're actually hitting these metrics to get there and accomplish the thing. And at the same time, like, hobby or not, like, I know now you're setting these goals for yourself with running, which is right now a hobby, but it's something that I feel like you also would love to do better at, be better at, get, maybe a sponsorship or something down the line.
Right.
But also like trying to fall in love with the process, so that on these days where, you're hitting a 20 miler and you're like, damn, I feel good. But at the end you're like, fuck, that was tough. You're still going to want to go out and do the 26 miler because it's like now part of your process.
Right.
So it's just interesting.
No,
I feel like it's a culmination of a lot of things that you are saying that kind of speak to these topics that we're.
It really is.
Yeah.
And to give you a lot of credit here on something that you said a few episodes ago, where it's like, if you just do the thing, right, it separates you from 95% of the people who just dream.
Yes.
It seemed like such a, like, not super obvious statement, but like I was like, oh yeah, cool, but it stuck with me, and like I'm seeing it also in other people, where I'm like, sometimes people reach out to me like, how do I like, I want to do what you're doing, how do I do it? And so often the answer really just do it. And like, if you look left and right, people just stop, or don't even start, or stop when it gets too hard, when they are overwhelmed, when they don't see the results. And so you are actually in my head when I'm hitting some of these walls mentally, where I'm like, just do it. Other people would stop here. All you got to do is just keep going. And again, this is why I wanted to do running specifically anyway, because running is one of those things where it's like, you could at any moment feel like, this is enough now, I stop. Like, I remember when 10 minutes on the treadmill felt like a long time to me, and now it's like, it's, nothing.
Right.
It's all about that mental mindset of like, okay, good, like, it's going to suck for a while, but there's also going to be phases again, like a second, a third, a fourth, fifth wind, which I hit by mile 19 for sure. This reminder, like, just keep on pushing through, and you can get there, right? So it was sad, honestly, in a lot of ways, to see how many people, like, they're like, yeah, I just want to do this. I'm like, literally just do it once a day. Just post about this, like a restaurant that you go to if you want to be a food blogger. And it's just not happening. And it's crazy to see, because once you get that perspective, you see into like the minds of people and how afraid they are of failing. And like, I know, again, this is touching on a lot of the episodes. And I feel like today is a little bit of a weird one. It's in the morning. We're not together. I've been feeling out of it. On top of it, we just spent 45 minutes setting the shit up. Like, it's not like the smoothest episode that'll be out. You know what I mean? Right. So, but I really don't. And I was at the top of the episode kind of anxious about like trying to get a point across. But now it feels like it can be nice to like have a little bit of a catch up episode to also like try and show how we integrate the things that we talk about and how they impact our day to day and yeah. Like how you and I take the advice, loosely advice.
But I think to that point, like you said from the beginning that you want this to be a platform and a space where we hopefully inspire others based on the stuff that we are actively doing, So I think there's something to be said about the fact that you right now feel that this episode is a little weird or a little off or whatever. And I can totally vouch for that as well. Like you said, it took me like 45 minutes to set everything up this morning. I've been on I've been out of town where, it's the morning. I haven't even had coffee yet. So you're just, you're getting just like raw, unfiltered, not even fun me. But we're doing it. That to say, like, if
in itself, it's proof.
Exactly. Right? Even if this isn't the best one, if people take that and say, okay, like, these guys put out an episode, it's okay. They're just kind of catching up, whatever. But they put one out. I think if everyone had more of that mentality of like, dude, even if you don't feel like it, like let's say you're supposed to run a 16-miler today or a 20-miler today or a 5-miler today, and you're not feeling it, go out and run one. Do like a little bit, like just do the bare minimum that you possibly can that fits into that, like, that fits into that framework of, okay, how am I going to achieve that greater goal?
Right.
And that, like, just like doing your best, that'll be it. You can attempt.
I mean, I'm gonna hop on a bike because I really shouldn't run with my knee, but yeah,
you know what I'm saying though, like that,
yeah,
like
for sure.
Like just the fact that like if we're trying to extrapolate this into stuff people can actually use, like if you guys don't get anything, yeah. We need to. I'm gonna get a soundboard that has some stupid like boing, like like dance takeaway. That like if we're trying to extrapolate this to something that people can actually use, drum
roll, please. He's getting in. He's
getting there. Hold on. Brain's firing. The gears are spinning. It's coming. Just do it. Like you said, and I know it sounds cliche and it sounds stupid. And you've already said it a million times, but like doing the baby steps and doing your best for whatever you possibly can that day is better than doing nothing. And and it's going to sound a lot like, the 2 episodes before or whatever, but like,
yeah, no, but it's I'm with you. I think like so I'm doing both right now. I'm both doing it and not doing it, which was weird. I had to cancel tennis, which I haven't done, like for physical reasons.
Right.
Like literally recognizing my limitations here and being like, okay, don't do it, even though I really, really wanted to because it was fun. And then still showing up for this, like where it's okay, like just accepting, like taking the L, to reference another episode, right? Taking the L on the one thing, which isn't even a loss because it's just like, okay, good, you pushed a lot, so you're learning now. You need more rest than that. Shouldn't have pushed as hard as I did yesterday, but that doesn't mean that I have to let that get to me to the level of like, ah, fuck, the whole day is wasted now.
Right.
No, I can still show up for this, and I can still do the other thing, and I can still hop on a bike, and I can still stay active and do something where, you know, I get sweating, I get the blood pumping, where I feel good afterwards, even if it's not tennis today. And yeah, I feel good about it. Like I really do. I think in the past, again, this is this breaking down of challenges and breaking down of bigger tasks into smaller bits. Like I'm not seeing I got to get through today as one big thing, right? It was like, no, there's podcast, there's tennis, I got to do some like shit here, shit there. And like if the one thing breaks away, it's not terrible. It's not, doesn't mean my whole day shit. Same way that a couple weeks ago, Monday and Tuesday, half a day were like shit. And in the past, I feel like I would have let that get to me. Like, ah, fuck, next week will be a better one.
Right.
Like, no, it was just that. And you can literally at any moment decide to a large extent that like, I'm good. Like, I'm fine. I don't have to let this shit get to me. What already happened. What is. To move on to just acceptance can literally momentarily, not for the moment, but instantaneously pull you out of that loop, and you're moving on with your life, and you're looking at what you can do rather than all the things that you can't do and festering on that.
Right. I think that's another good point too, is like the whole like not beating yourself up thing. Because like I'm the first one to say, I've said this already in like episodes past, that like if I miss something in my, you know, my routine, or something that didn't align with like my goals or values, or I misstepped, or I, you know, ate something bad, or skipped a workout, or missed a meeting, right, or had to, you know, cancel on an event, that would really get to me. You know, that was something that I'd be like, man, I am either letting somebody down, I'm letting myself down, I'm taking steps backward in this goal that I'm trying to achieve. That mindset is only the catalyst for a like downward spiral of you just beating yourself up about the fact that you made a mistake or missed something, right, or were tired or injured in your case, you know, stuff that happens to every single person on the planet. You know, you're not right, like the exception. Everyone fucks up, everyone messes up. So you having a misstep or the L, like the loss, or, you know, making a bad decision is something that, like you just said, you have the capability of turning that around and saying, okay, the next one's going to be better. I may have, you know, I may have gone like this whole past weekend, for example. You think I was a strict vegan in Ireland, dude?
I don't know what food they serve, so but probably not.
No,
dude. You had a hog or two, probably.
Oh, I had, yeah, I had. There was a full leg of lamb at one point. It was incredible, but dude, like, so good.
Shit,
but
yeah,
like, I think in a previous timeline, or you know, like before, yeah, I would have come back from this trip and felt really defeated. I would have felt down on myself, defeated, like I betrayed myself, like I'm shooting myself in the foot, and like any progress that I had made up to that point is null and void because of a decision that I made, you know, for a couple days. When in actuality, it was me enjoying life, getting to live and be out somewhere new with friends who I deeply love and care about, and enjoying it fully, being fully present there.
Right.
That I have no regrets. Like, you can't live with like, oh man, I regret that thing. Because at the time, it was exactly what I wanted to do. All the decisions I made were made. Now it's like, okay, that happened. What are we going to do today that might be a little bit different? You know? So like, maybe there's another like Dan's takeaway for things. Like, don't beat yourself up. Because it's so easy to kind of fall into that, like, man, I messed up. Man, I skipped the run today. Man, my knee hurts. I want to go play tennis. And it's so fun for me. And I know that I feel good after I play tennis, but I can't go today. And instead of looking at that as like I fucked up. It's just bad. Now the whole day's shot. It's a choice that you actively have to say, you know what? It's fine. You know, like the reframe is there. You can't constantly beat yourself up about stuff because it's not that big of a deal at the end of the day, you know?
I will say that vocalizing it just helps so often too.
Absolutely.
I mean, especially like to the right person, right? Like I know that like with you, it's landing on the right ears, but you know, that's why that question that you asked before is so powerful, and can be, because sometimes all that needed to happen, like you don't need to solve the problem. Sometimes all that needed to happen was to have been heard, right?
Right.
And then that's enough, because it's crazy. Like once you, it's this idea of like, the voice in your head, if it was anybody else but you, you'd be like, shut the fuck up. Who the fuck are you? Right? That.
Right.
But if it's in your head, you're like, oh no, that's me, so I'm right. But if you then start saying some of these things out loud and like how you're treating yourself, or judging yourself, or it helps. It just helps to hear yourself say these things. You're like, maybe that's not the part of myself that I want to be listening to.
Right.
So thank you for an open ear.
No, of course, dude. And like I think like there's something to that too. Like saying that stuff out loud, like self-talk truly can be you talking to yourself out loud. I think that's even more powerful than thinking it in your head. You know, there's been times where like I've done something like, okay, that wasn't the best choice, but I can make it a better one next time. Or like, that happened. It's not the end of the world. It's all right. You know, and I think like we're so quick and to you know, hype up our friends and like talk about, you know, like, you got this, like, you can't worry about that. But then, you know, we don't take our own advice. So that's a great point that you just made, is like, you know, if you talk to yourself like someone you actually love and care about, like, you know, like you're a friend to yourself, so much more helpful to get through stuff like this. If you don't have that like ear to lean on, you know?
True. It's a super weird thing to actually like look yourself in the eyes in the mirror and say something nice. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Challenge. Challenge. Stand in front of a mirror, say something nice while you're locking eyes with yourself. Yeah. If you haven't ever done it, definitely do it. If you have done it before, do it again. Shit is weird. It feels like you're like, try it. It feels like a cheat code a little bit. It feels like you're looking through the Matrix a little bit for me, because like it's just odd, but in the best way. Yeah. Hey, dude, we gotta wrap up.
Yeah, I know. I had a call.
You got another. This is the thing when, you know, it's in the middle of in the morning. There's other shit creeping in. Yeah. But this is fun.
It was good, dude. I think it was a good catch up, and I hope that you feel better about everything. I mean, dude, you're crushing it. Nice. Like, you know, 20 miles is no easy task. And I know you love to push yourself and love to work hard and love to, you know, be out there in front of the line. Like, you know, it's okay to take a step back and relax, you know?
Yeah, I'm going to have to until Friday. That's okay. I'm going to have to. That's okay. I'm learning along the way. Broski, you have a wonderful rest of the day. Try and get some rest in before you trot on tomorrow. Have so much fun in New Orleans. Gonna have me some crawfish. Mardi Gras. Nice. It's gonna be great.
Hell yeah, dude! I'm
excited to hear about that next one, and then I'm dipping to the Bahamas, and then I'm going to another. We're seeing each other in between trips now.
We're a couple of world travelers.
You heard it here first. Yeah, where the fuck else would you hear it? Stupid. Okay, love ya.
Love ya.
Love ya. See ya.
See you guys next week.